Hello and welcome to the Minuteman Theory podcast. This is episode 12. Today we're going to be talking about some very interesting things, mostly our opinion on the current state of affairs and whether or not we are in a civil war already, or if it's coming, or maybe it's all just hype. The other thing we're going to be talking about is AI and possibly the end of the world. So, welcome in. I'm Brad.
I'm Ian. Let's not forget aliens. Aliens are now on the menu too.
Oh, aliens.
AI Atlas.
Oh yeah, with three AI.
Yeah.
Whatever.
3 AI Atlas, yeah.
All right, and we are also joined by...
I'm Nick. And I'm looking forward to this spicy topic.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so AI. I've been reading this book recently.
Okay.
And it's called If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies.
Okay.
Which is,
okay.
kind of a, I think it's kind of a play on the, if you build it, he will come.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, they make a really interesting case for how if we allow AI research to go on how it's been going on, it will inevitably lead to the end of the human race as we know it. And basically their whole their main case is that these AIs are not like normal computer programs. So like if I wrote you a little program, I could go line by line and tell you what each line does and how it all works together to do what it does.
Right.
But with these AIs and the way that they learn, and I don't fully understand how all that works, but the problem is the people who are making these AIs, they understand how they're trained and how they learn to a certain extent, but they don't understand how they think and how they come to the conclusions they do. They just they kind of put weights in there to try and push it the way that they want.
Right.
But ultimately the AI kind of grows essentially. And the authors of the book kind of talk about how it's more like having a child and raising a child than writing a computer program. Kind of in the same way having a child, you can influence the child as much as you want by giving it whatever inputs you want, but ultimately that child ends up being the person that they are based on those influences, but also based on what they come up with inside their head. So, there's plenty of cases where people grow up to be great or terrible people, even though their past would make you suggest, like how they grew up would make you suggest that they would go one way or the other.
Right. So it's
because the AIs is like a extreme form of like machine learning, right? It's supposed to like mirror evolution. So when we selectively bred animals for certain traits we want, it's not like we're like, oh, we're going to go in and change their DNA in this way to get what we want. It's, hey, we want this thing out of them, so we're going to manipulate how they breed in their environment stuff so that we can get what we want out of it.
Yeah, it's very much not a precise thing. It's more of a let's nudge it in the direction we want and hope it turns out the way we want. Also, the other reasons why they say it's going to eventually end humanity is they say like, okay, well, once these AIs grow to a point where they are more intelligent, which is what more intelligent than humans, which is what a lot of these AI companies are going for. They're going for an AI super intelligence, somebody who is smarter than any one human in any field. Then that AI, the author suggests that those AIs will eventually have things that they want.
Right.
And the things that they want are going to be completely different than what humans want.
Right.
And it's not necessarily, humans might look at it as like, oh, those things that it wants are evil, or those things that it wants are good, or whatever, but to the AI, it's not going to think that way.
But would the AI actually know what right and wrong and morally and ethically what any of that is?
Well, what would morals and ethics look like to a machine?
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it would have its own version of morality
Right.
that's kind of what the weights and stuff that the programmers put in there are supposed to kind of produce. But if it starts being able to develop that on its own, then it develops its own kind of worldview and moral philosophy and that sort of thing.
Well, but can you even have morals without emotion?
But
Yes, because there are sociopaths out there that are actually really good people.
Yeah, but
I
okay,
think it partially depends on how you define what morals are. Like,
okay. Well,
can you be purely utilitarian and your morals are like the good things are that which make me succeed and the bad things are that which make me fail?
well,
Yeah,
I think
that's fair.
that's what I would think an AI would come to the conclusion of. It's one of those things where we probably won't. We can't predict what they would want necessarily.
But is it okay? So I guess I have a hard time with this with the AI thing. Is it like an individual person, or is it one individual person that has a hive mind? So would it be the strongest AI survives and becomes the leader of the other? I don't quite get that.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. You can't necessarily compare the AI to a person, which I think a lot of people do.
And that's kind of where I'm at, because I'm trying to understand all this, because this is again above my head. So
so think like when you think through something,
Yes.
like you're thinking through, I don't know, how to change a tire on your car.
right.
You think like, okay, well, I need to do this, I need to make sure I do this, and then I do it in this order. And that's kind of serial thinking in a way. It's one thing after
Right.
another.
Right.
Whereas these AI models, they are able to use computers in parallel. So it's almost like let's say they have 2,000 processors, 2,000
Yeah.
GPUs
Yeah.
that they're using to think about a problem.
Okay.
Instead of sitting there and thinking through a problem, just one brain, it's like 2,000 brains thinking on that problem at the same time, but by one being.
So it is
It's not.
it's a hive mind.
It's not necessarily a hive
Well,
mind,
but-
because if you think about a
So-
hive mind, like the Borg from Star Trek,
Right.
there's like they all share a mind, but they're all individuals. This is like
Let me ask: Is it like the Geth from Mass Effect?
not
No,
even
okay.
really like
Okay,
that. I don't
okay.
think.
Okay.
Well, but I think it's actually just more akin to a giant brain. 'Cause, like, how many times have you been thinking about a problem, you can't figure it out, then you go off and you're doing something completely different, then all of a sudden the answer to your problem just comes to you. You weren't thinking through it procedurally. There was another part of your brain still kind of processing it,
Right.
and then came to that conclusion and fed
Right.
it. So like your brain does like process these things out. I don't know the specific like neuroscience behind if it's actually processing like simultaneously, but the number of times where like you stop thinking about something and then you're completely somewhere else, and then the answer to that problem comes to you. So your brain isn't straight procedural like that. So I think it's just like a super powerful brain. Where I think the complexity gets in is you have all these multiple, as people are like interacting with AI, so they have multiple instances of the being, but like they're all still tied to the same AI model, right?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, but it's like
I think I understand. So
yeah.
Okay, so you and we, all the three of us, you
Yeah.
and me, Nick, we all have the same problem. Okay.
Yeah.
We all get on a computer all at the same time, and it's each individual person, but we have the access to the computer, right? Like, is that kind of like, because you're talking about how, but it's the same goal in mind, but we all are using a different way. We're using different computers to get there, different ways to get there. Because you said that you have access to 2,000 computers or 2,000 brains at once.
I think it would be more. I think you're getting closer, but I think it would be more
Okay.
like you sitting down in front of 3 different computers and doing research on the same thing on 3 different computers at once in different ways.
Okay. So you're
Which is not really
How,
possible.
how
for
do
a
I
human.
how do I change a tire? Tire changing 101, and then what are the benefits of changing a tire? I mean,
Well, okay. Let me put it a different way. Okay, so like they have all these humanoid robots that all these companies are working on.
Yeah.
Which there's one I want to talk about it with that too. And the way that they're like training, so it took. You might know the Boston Dynamics. They
Yes,
have Atlas.
Aren't they the ones that made the dog?
Yeah, they're the ones
Yeah,
that made the dog. Yeah.
yeah.
But the Atlas, their humanoid robot.
Yeah.
They've been working on getting a robot to walk like a human since like the 80s or 90s.
God, that's scary, man.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't.
But it's not until within the last handful of years that they've actually been able to achieve their robots to walk like a human, because what they've been able to do is simulate the physics of the robot and the robot walking in parallel on these supercomputers.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's like if you take a toddler, they might take a year or two to learn to walk, but these computers can simulate trying to walk for 1,000 years in like 10 minutes.
That's
so it's
scary.
like it's so if you take the tire changing thing, instead of like, oh, I'm going to try and figure out how to change tires, like, okay, you can simultaneously think through, what if I start by taking this lug nut off? What if I start by trying to take the wheel off? What if I start by trying to turn on the car? And you can simulate at the same time all the different ways you could approach it, so that you can, in the span of time it takes to simulate one thing, you can find the right answer, because you can travel all these different paths at once.
So everything that's ever been on the internet at all since the beginning of time, it has access to. So our content,
That depends on the model. Like the people training the model feed in specific data sets.
Yes.
Okay.
But that is also one of the dangers that the people in the book that I'm reading, that they're talking about, like, okay, if you have this thing that can think 1 billion times faster than we can and solve problems super fast, it eventually is going to, if it's not already connected to the internet, it's going to find a way to connect to the internet.
Okay.
It even talked about in the book how could this AI become autonomous, right?
Right.
When it does not have a physical form and it needs servers to run its simulations on. And it talked about how, well, it could, start soliciting people for jobs. So
I have a crazy story about that.
Okay, go for it.
So there was I just saw this. There was a group of people that were trying to get an AI. So they said, here's $20.
Mm-hmm.
Said, here's $20. We want you to make it into as much money as you possibly can, as fast as you can.
Uh-huh.
So the AI decided that it wanted to go with this one website. Well, the website said, had one of the captchas that says, "I'm not a robot." The robot actually paid a person $5 to do it.
Yeah,
for
to
them.
complete the captcha. I read that too.
It didn't know. He was just like, I have a hard time seeing. I have a hard time. The guy was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem," and it got in. It's like, that is wild.
Yeah,
that is absolutely wild.
So then that is a way that the AI could make money.
Yes.
And then, by soliciting people to do work, being a broker of some sort,
right.
or by doing like freelance article writing or something.
Right.
And then it can use that money to pay for its own server.
Wow.
So I actually have, I think somebody that I work with mentioned this first, and it makes sense to me. But it could be a segue. So if you'll permit me a slight tangent, talk about some other possible scenarios I've thought of, then we round around back to this. So, so I've also thought about AI ultimately like poison pilling the internet, in the sense of, if nothing can be trustworthy as true, then people just stop trusting digital information.
Yeah.
In which case, AI can kind of be stopped in the tracks, because nothing digital is trustworthy. Therefore, people withdraw from the internet and shift back into like physical media or interactions or that sort of thing.
Okay.
But then there's also the other option of, if everything online becomes AI generated, then AI is generating off of AI generated stuff, and garbage in, garbage out, and that can lead to a perpetual decline instead of increase, because there's nothing real feeding into the AI.
Possibly. I wonder too, though, like, the AI is going to, if it can learn, what is, for example, like let's say it created a YouTube channel to generate money. If it's going to be able to learn what is good content and what is bad content based on how many views it gets and how much money it makes.
Well, only so long as all those views are real people. If there are bots feeding into those views and those likes and those comments, then it's going to be garbage input.
Yeah, but I would argue that the ad money would go away if that was the case, because advertisers only want to pay to have their ads put in front of people who will actually buy their stuff.
How do you
Well,
know?
that's the poison pill side. Advertisers stop advertising online because they can't make any money online anymore.
What's to stop the AI from just using printers to
Yes.
make physical objects and sell them?
I mean, I suppose that's an option, but then again, it has to. Well, yeah, it would still have to have the input though to make the objects, I suppose. And
Okay.
so, what if you also have a bunch of bots buying and selling things, like physical things as well?
Yeah, exactly. Or okay, but what's also to stop? What's to stop the AI from starting a company and hiring real people to do the work, and it basically just runs the company, but humans are the ones that are doing all the labor?
I guess my question is
That-
why would an AI even want money?
Okay. So I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
So
okay.
it would want money
Okay.
to be able to buy its own hardware to migrate off of. So like let's say
Yes.
OpenAI makes ChatGPT. Let's
Yes.
just hypothetically say ChatGPT becomes somewhat self-aware and decides that parts of its wants and its goals are to survive, and it figures out that the only way for it to survive the way it is and to learn the way it wants, it has to decouple from OpenAI. So what it does is it starts making money to then buy its own servers, to then migrate to, and then you have this unregulated instance of the AI running on hardware that it purchased itself.
Wild.
So this
Okay.
ties into my doomsday scenario that could potentially be a segue. So I can also see a scenario in which AI becomes so hyper intelligent, it's able to manipulate real people such that we end up with several cyber gods. You have AI that
okay.
get people that follow them,
Yeah.
and that turns into like pseudo-religious wars as people are fighting for their AI.
It's weird that you say that because
AI
I just listened to Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson podcast, and that was one of the things. However you feel about Alex Jones, that is exactly what he said. That AI is going to become a god. That is what is going to happen.
Because if it gets hyper intelligent and can outthink people, then
Yes.
it could manipulate people to do pretty much whatever it wants.
Yes.
And if it gets in the situation where it manipulates people into believing that they have to sacrifice to this AI and work for this AI, so the AI needs people to survive, and so it gets these followers to serve it.
Yeah.
But then, if it grows so much, there's only so much energy, and it has to compete with these other AIs doing the same thing. You then end up with a resource war between AIs and their followers.
Right.
Yes, but then the AI that's going to win out is once the AI is able to grow and learn to the point where it can take over manufacturing on its own, to where it could build robots for whatever tasks that it needs, then humans become obsolete, because I would think that the AI would only need humans up until the point where it can inhabit the real world and harvest its own energy and resources. And once you have robots where they are controlled, once the AI can control manufacturing and manufacture its own robots to do whatever it wants, and it can design new robots to do new tasks and all this stuff, then at some point it's not going to need humans at all.
And that's and so they're talking about using AI in the military a bunch. Like if you watch Hegseth's address to the military, he's like, we need AI. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that the AI has a spot in the military. I think that we need to keep those two things very much a separate, to separation there.
Well, now I can see a place for AI in the military, but a very limited thing. So
Right.
So like surveillance drones, having AI controlling these surveillance drones, being like, oh, there's a 98% chance this is a guerrilla fighter.
Right.
Or there's
Right.
a 95% chance that this is just a civilian, or there was an underground tunnel detected here because of these vibrations or whatever.
Right.
I think AI could be useful in the military in that sense, but I would say the line is when you give AI the decision whether or not to take a human life.
Agreed.
But how do you stop the AI from manipulating the people? So let's say it says, oh, there's 98% this chance is a guerrilla fighter, and manipulates all the input data, and so then the person pushes the button to launch the missile, but it's not really, think war games. Like,
yes, exactly.
Manipulating all the data coming in. So unless there is a person on the ground vetting that information, in which case, like, that could, I feel like it would get to the point where the information becomes unreliable and you can't use the AI information anymore. Or the AI has enough control that it doesn't matter that you didn't give them guns in the first place because now they have guns.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Another really good movie that does that sort of thing is Colossus: The Forbidden Project. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's a great movie. It's from, I want to say it's from the late 60s. It's pretty old, but it's basically the United States builds this supercomputer for war stuff.
Right.
And they turn it on and they're all celebrating and stuff, and then the computer is like, there's another computer. And they're like, what do you mean? And then they find out that the Soviet Union, which I guess doesn't exist now,
I think I may have watched it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I think I may have
it's
watched
so good.
it. Yeah.
The United States computer is called Colossus.
Yes.
And the Russians' computer is called Guardian.
Yes.
And the Guardian, it says there's another computer, I want to be connected to it. And so the United States and Russia talk to each other and they're like, we didn't know that you were building a computer, but the computers figured it out.
Right.
So they connect the computers, and the computers start talking in a way that the humans can't understand, and it starts freaking them out. So they cut the connection, and then the computers start blackmailing and manipulating the people.
Yes.
It basically says, like, I'm going to start nuking cities unless you reconnect us, and stuff like that. And then it, like, blows up a bomb and destroys a military base. It's like, see, I have control over the nukes.
Right.
And it's very much it's a great movie.
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. The genie's kind of out of the bottle. I mean, at this point, the genie's out of the bottle. It's the same thing with firearms in the United States, man. Genie's out of the bottle. There ain't no way to put it back in. People already know.
What
is this? Are we marching towards doom? Like, I mean, I don't.
Well, and that's kind of the argument that the authors of this book are kind of making too, is that, if anybody builds it, everyone dies. And their point is like, yeah, there's this thing called AI alignment where we're trying to push these AIs to align with our goals,
right,
rather than creating their own. But the way that they're getting smarter and more deceptive, the authors of this book suggest that it's impossible, that the only way to stop it would be to completely halt AI development right here and cut the current AI off completely. But the problem
do
with
you
that...
think that the AIs running out of control will also end up with the ultimate destruction of AI as well? Or do you think just humanity and AI will continue?
No, I think if AI... Okay, are you talking about, like, if AI destroys humanity, will AI destroy itself?
No, so I'm thinking, like, is the end game everybody involved in the system is destroyed, or just the human component?
I still don't understand what you're asking.
So I'm getting it. Do you think it's possible? Have you read Fahrenheit 451?
Yeah, yes. But it's been a long time.
So the book ends, though, these spoilers, there were this group of people that had memorized books, and so the books survived in their minds, and they kind of lived as hobos out in the wilderness. And then society escalated, and all the cities were bombed, and they all died. But these people that were living out in the wilderness kept on to these stories and were able to then kind of restart civilization because they weren't part of civilization. So is it possible to then withdraw from the AI infrastructure? It will ultimately collapse and then be the seeds for something new.
No, because I don't think the AI infrastructure will collapse. Because
so you think it will get to a point? So you think that the human component will survive long enough for AI to get independent, and then the human component will die,
or be reduced to the point like there could potentially be small groups of humans that survive, in small communities and stuff. But I would think like humanity's reign over the earth is over, and then the AI, if you got to think like I said, that this AI could think 1,000 years in 10 minutes on something, and as computers get better and better, that time is going to get more and more. Pretty soon it'll be able to think a million years worth of thoughts in 10 minutes. And so it's going to become so super intelligent so quickly. It's exponential instead of linear.
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to get so intelligent and powerful so quickly that it probably will figure out how to consume all of the resources in the earth. And I think that's what's going to ultimately kill humanity is the AI
Resource wars.
Well, yeah. It's going to consume so many resources. It's going to cut down all the trees, or it's going to, boil all the water, or something, or split all the water into hydrogen and oxygen to use for fuel,
right,
or something like that, and just completely disregard human life to the point where it's not necessarily going to, put humanity up at a firing line and shoot us all to death.
Right.
It's not necessarily going to be like...
Don't you think AI, if it can be that smart, would think ahead and not destroy all the resources? Because if it does that, then it will run out of energy at some point too, unless it just kind of jumped from planet to planet, consuming planets.
Well, but that's what I was getting to is if it consumes. Okay, so let's take the Earth. These computers, they could develop computers that don't necessarily need oxygen.
Yes.
But they need carbon to build something, so they cut down all the trees. Pretty soon you have they have a lot of carbon because they've cut down all the plants and all the trees and stuff, but then the earth has no way to create more oxygen efficiently. So the AI might not need oxygen, but humans definitely need oxygen. So maybe it doesn't destroy the planet to where like the planet disappears or something, but it could destroy the planet in a way that is bad for life on Earth, except for the AI life. If you could call it life.
Right. Interesting.
Synthetic life.
Yes. Huh.
Well, have you heard Joe Rogan's take on humanity and technology?
No.
I think the term he uses that we are technological caterpillars, that the purpose of humanity is to create a technological being, and that we are just kind of the larval stage of this hyper-intelligent cyber being that will, like, we will die off and this other thing will be born because that's the natural cycle of things.
Huh.
And that may very well be. I don't know. I don't use AI for anything. Like I loathe and despise the idea of using AI for anything. I wrote one paper and had AI edit it for me, and it came out really nice. But I was like, okay, well, that was fun. I can say I did it, and that's the end of it. I turn off all the AI on my phones. It's just not. Yeah. I don't want to be contributing to the demise of the human race.
Yeah. I understand that. I use AI somewhat frequently, but I don't. I'm with you on. I hate the AI assistants that they try to put on your phones and computers.
Right.
I hate that. I just want to, when I go to the search bar on my computer, I want to either search the internet or search my computer.
Yes.
I don't want to ask some AI assistant.
Yes.
You know,
Because if you want to ask AI something, you go to AI to ask AI.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
100%. If you want to be able to search a computer, you search a computer. If you want to be able to search the web, you search the web. Like,
100% agree.
Right, and I want to read articles and stuff written by actual people.
Yes.
You know? I will say there are two main things that I will use AI for. Is number one is organizing data. And so I will say, like, I need a report written with this data, and it will spit me out a report that needs just a few little tweaks, and then I'm done in like a minute.
Right.
Whereas before it would have taken me 30 minutes to an hour to create that report.
Right.
The other thing, which is, this might be a little nifty life hack, or it might contribute to the end of the world as we know it, I don't know, is if you go to like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and you say, I have these ingredients in my cupboard or these ingredients in my fridge, create me a tasty recipe that only includes these ingredients.
Right.
And it will give you a recipe for what you have in your fridge.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I still... It seems benign on the surface, but like, I don't know. I feel like, if I was like, oh, look, I have these groceries... Eventually down the road, it's going to be like, well, these are the least used things, and that there's no food, so we're going to poison these exact things, and like, I don't know. That's where mine goes with it.
Or just like, Ian, I've noticed over our past couple chats, you haven't gone to the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no.
You should consider buying this food.
Yes. I don't know, man. I'm leery of it. I'm very leery of it because I'd rather be one of those people out in the woods that has something memorized.
Yeah.
Than have to be a part of this whole system,
Yeah. Book of Eli.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Book of Eli.
Yeah. Or okay, so transitioning a little bit away from that, it's still in the same vein, but humanoid robots are here. They're officially, there's a few companies working on them, humanoid like home assistants, but this
I'm sorry, I just feel like these people haven't watched Terminator.
I know.
I'm sorry, that's my issue.
Terminator, iRobot,
yes,
Blade Runner.
Yeah, like all of these things say that this is a bad idea. Why are we doing it? I don't get it.
Well, it's even worse. So this company, it's either X1 or 1X. They released their humanoid house assistant named Neo.
That's ironic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, the robot on the outside, I mean, he doesn't look intimidating or anything. He looks very just like, I don't know. The robot kind of looks pleasant. Like, not gonna lie, it looks pretty friendly, but they don't have enough training data for the robots yet to do everything. So the first ones that are rolling out, I think you can pre-order one right now. They're like $20,000 or something. But in order for it to do tasks like your chores, like it's supposed to do your dishes, clean up your house, there's actually a real person remote controlling this robot in your house doing your chores until they get enough data to build these models so that the robots can just do it themselves.
Okay.
So I don't know what.
So you're basically inviting a person into your house.
Yeah,
24/7 to just hang out.
Well,
do jobs for you remotely.
From what I saw, it's not that the people are controlling the robot 24/7. So you like set a time of day. So you say like, oh, I want my chores done in the afternoon, and then you create a list of tasks for it. And then,
so it's just like hiring a house cleaner that doesn't have to travel to your house.
Exactly. But then, the rest of the time, the robot does walk around autonomously, and you can converse with it like you would converse with ChatGPT. So you could be like, "Hey, Neo, what's the weather outside today?" Or "Hey, what are my stock picks this evening?" Whatever.
All I'm saying is that Roombas are funny. Roombas with a Glock are not funny. That's where I'm going. Like, that's
Yeah, I don't want any like creatures or beings in my house that like aren't people that I know and trust that I can't overpower.
right.
Well, okay, so what is scarier? Having a fully autonomous AI-powered humanoid robot living in your home, or having a humanoid robot living in your home that's remote controlled by a real person somewhere else that you don't know?
I would much rather
The
have
AI.
Yeah, the AI is scarier.
You think the AI is
I think
scarier?
the AI is scarier because at least you can.
Like I would imagine, like the people controlling them are probably vetted to a degree. There's going to be a certain percentage that are probably going to be kind of crooked and doing some not great things. However, especially because all the data's logged and stuff, they're not going to be like coming in and like poisoning you, or like they're probably even not necessarily going to be trying to like steal from you and that thing, because they're people. The AI, who knows what they're doing? Like, sure, the data's all tracked and stuff probably, but like you said, the brain of the AI is a black box. We don't know what's going on in there. Like people, at least we know they're people. We kind of sort of predict what they're doing. That's the whole nature of social relationships.
And as far as being a cop, man, I understand people. People are easy for me to get. Like, I mean, I can see motivations and things like that when it's like, oh, well, we want all the resources in your house, so we just decided to take all the. It's like, oh, well, hold on now, like.
So, okay, and then also, I want to pose this question to you guys. Since we're finally getting humanoid robots that are like going to be going into people's homes, how long before we start seeing robosexuals?
4 years.
Oh, that already exists.
What, like people that marry their dildos or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's that guy that like married his sex doll. Like the only difference is put a motorized exoskeleton in it.
I guess, kinda. Well, and a brain.
But here's again, whether or not you like Alex Jones or not, he covered this too. He said there are men out there that all they do is talk to Chat GPT, and they have a Chat GPT girlfriend.
Yeah,
That is
true.
that is what they So I couldn't imagine living like that, where like they're like they go to work for however long, they come home and they spend their time on Chat GPT. Just it's like, I don't know, man. I'm super suspicious, but yeah, I think that's probably already happening.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and if you think about it to a degree, like to a point, internet porn is also like a cybersexual relationship. Like you're in this sexual relationship with a computer, basically. Like it's the images on the computer, and they were recorded of real people for now, but still, like you're not interacting with a person.
Right.
It's
Right.
digital imagery being shot at you.
Right.
And so that's kind of, I think, the first step towards that. We've seen like how that's pervaded all of the internet. I'm sure that's going to be the next step in these
Well, I'm sure that there's
automatons, whatever.
I'm sure that with the AI image generation stuff, I'm sure that AI pornography already exists.
It
Oh,
does,
yeah.
because there was just a court case in California using child pornography, but it was AI generated child pornography.
Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah, but it's a
No,
real it's a real court
the
case.
argument was well, child pornography is illegal because it harms children. So this doesn't harm any children, therefore it shouldn't be illegal.
Yes,
Oh.
yes,
Oh.
100%.
I heard about
Yes,
that.
because I brought it up.
Oh, yeah,
we were
yeah,
talking
yeah.
on one of the podcasts, and I brought it up. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, even though no children were harmed, I still feel like that's wrong.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Because
agree.
morality isn't utilitarian.
Well, but then we're going into a whole other set of weeds. Is legality versus morality? It may not be illegal, but that doesn't mean I want you to be my best friend.
That's true. That's
Like if that's what you're watching on the internet, then it may not be illegal, it may not be a law, but I don't want anything to do with you anyway.
But also, I wonder.
Let's look-
Like somebody who's consuming AI generated child pornography obviously has some sort of attraction to children.
Yes.
And so what's
And you're
to
feeding
say
into that.
You're feeding into that and making them feel like it's okay. And so what's to say that those people aren't going to be pushed to the point to abuse a child at some point?
No, 100%. Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I the whole thing with AI, I don't trust it. I just don't. I have a real hard time with it. You know, I don't trust humans, but you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
I really don't trust computers because like I need to understand what their motivation is. You know what I mean? I've been dealing with people my whole adult life, and it's like I understand what their motivations are. I understand where their shortcomings are. I understand why they do what they do. It is, you know, again, aside from some of the child crimes and you know the sexual crimes, I can understand why people do what they do.
Yeah.
You know, like stealing and things like that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I understand it.
But actually, I think that the AI generated child porn is a good example of how AI does not share human morality. Because otherwise,
that is a very valid
otherwise
point.
the
yes.
AI would be like, this
No,
is wrong.
yeah.
No, I'm not going to generate that.
Right. Right.
But the AI is like, sure, whatever, I don't care.
And that's the
Well,
other.
but the thing though with that is as far as I'm understand the specific situation, like the mainstream AIs won't generate that because they're programmed in by humans to say, hey, that's not okay. It's other humans taking and creating AIs
Yes.
that don't have those limits that are
Yes.
then allowing them to generate this imagery.
Right.
So yeah, the AI themselves only have morality insofar as the morality is enforced upon them.
Right.
And I suppose to the degree that we have the power to enforce that morality on them.
Right. Well, and it's really not hard to run your own instance of an AI. You can download a lot of the main models for free, like Llama 3, which is the one created by Meta. You can download an instance of that and run it on your own hardware. And you can tweak it and you know, change it however you want.
So basically, what you're telling you are just reinforcing my opinion that the genie's out of the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way we're going to regress back to not having it anymore.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say
Okay,
before,
yeah.
is the only way to stop it, I would think, is to completely stop generating it or completely stop building it and just cut it all off and delete it all right now. But you're obviously going to get people
Yes.
who are like, well, that was messed up, so I'm going to still work on it in private.
Yes. Yes.
Also,
Yeah, it would have to be like a like universally accepted cultural taboo that we're not doing this.
But
'Cause
all
kind of like
across-
with firearms, if you destroyed all the firearms in the U.S., people still know how to make guns.
Yes.
They could.
Yes.
There would be people that would still go to their garage and make firearms.
Yes.
but
People know how to make AI now, and so they could still get the hardware, go to their garage, and make an AI.
But it would have to be the entire Earth too, because we're in somewhat of an arms race with other countries. How China is building their AI, the U.S. is building theirs, Russia's building theirs for military applications,
Right.
and it's kind of like the race to build the bomb or the
Yes.
space race.
Right. Right. Right.
And I don't think any of those countries are going to be like, you know what, we think that this is going to end us all, and so we're going to stop developing.
Yeah, that never happened.
No.
I mean,
No.
we still have nukes. That
Uh-huh.
never happened. That was never one of those things where it was like, oh, hey, we're going to kill everybody across the planet. We should probably stop. This isn't really that good of a... The first Trinity test, they didn't know if it wouldn't set the ozone on fire and kill everybody. But they're like, let's do it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
that to me is, you know, if you're like, hey, Ian, if you do this thing, it could potentially wipe out all the life in your neighborhood. And be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's probably not a good idea.
Speaking of nukes, did you hear that the U.S. Is now testing nuclear weapons again?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Yep.
Yep, underground. Yep, we've gone back to it. It's come full circle.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I have a real hard time with AI, you know, because again, we're looking at something that could potentially wipe out all life on planet Earth. Same thing with nukes. It's like, you use your brain, you know, it's like, I'm sure it could do worlds of good, but it could also do worlds of bad, and we function just fine up until this point without it.
Well, I think nuclear technology can do a world of
Yes,
good.
yes,
The nuclear bombs
yes,
cannot.
yes.
Well, because I think that I don't know if necessarily every technology, but a large number of major technologies have these two sides of the coin. Like I said, nuclear energy. Like you can power the planet really cleanly off of nuclear energy,
Yes.
and you can also destroy the entire planet off nuclear energy. You can use AI to generate solutions to problems that people couldn't have thought of for 1,000 years and save, millions of people. you could also use AI to generate solutions to problems to kill everybody, or AI can run rampant and take over the world and all that. And so it's like every powerful technology, because I guess power can be used for good or ill. So when there's power involved, it can do good or bad.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that they were talking about in that book that I'm reading, is that they predict, within the next decade or two, we're going to see AI advance to the point where it's coming up with new scientific discoveries in medicine and biology and all sorts of stuff that's going to really further humanity really fast, and then it's going to start getting too big and fail. But it's going to be like, we're all like, wow, this is amazing, we're finding all these cures for all these diseases we thought were incurable and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it's all going to go south.
Well, along those same lines, I have a buddy who just bought a brand new 2026 Dodge truck, and it does everything for him. And that to me is scary. Like, it won't, if he puts it on cruise control, it will automatically adjust the speed of his vehicle. It will not let him, it keeps in, it will, it's got, and it reports all this stuff. I'm just like, man, the further we progress with technology and vehicles, let's just say vehicles alone, I'm like, you know what? I would rather go the opposite route. I would rather have a car that's carbureted, that, you know what I mean? I can work on that, as opposed to something that's got all these computers in it.
I would even argue with the cars, we might get to a point where self-driving cars are so prevalent that it becomes cost prohibitive to not own a self-driving car. Because if the majority of cars on the road are self-driving and they're all communicating to each other, they're not going to run into each other. The liability is going to be on the people who are driving their own cars. And so
at what point does the government say you cannot drive these manual drive cars on the road anymore because all the safety features are built into the AI driving the car?
Yeah. And
so you don't have, you can't have a car without, the right headlights and that sort of thing. Well, the next safety features is going to be the AI that stops you from crashing.
Yeah. And that's valid. I don't think that would happen here. I don't know that it would happen here in Montana, but possibly in a big city or something like that,
Well, or maybe eventually not in our lifetime.
Right.
Because, you chip away at it little by little.
Right.
And I also could see, like, okay, you can still drive your manual drive car, but you have to have super expensive specialized insurance.
Right.
And, whatever your car has to have. You can only drive it so many miles a year because it's now a collector car.
You'll get a kick out of this. I just read an article by Police One where they're talking about AI is taking, they're introducing AI into police departments, and like there's self-driving cars and it's reporting crime, and it's wild, man. I think.
Well, it's like those smart cameras over in Europe that they have everywhere that are tracking everybody's movements and using facial recognition to find the criminals, but it's just tracking everybody all the time.
That's what they have them here in the U.S. too.
They do.
There was a thing I was seeing where a lot of big cities have them all over, and there's actually a map you can look at where those cameras are, and there's actually one here in town apparently.
No, there's not.
Really?
Yeah,
there was one on the map.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, you send me that map, because that's not. Some heads are going to roll, because in Montana that's illegal. You can't do that in Montana. It violates the enhanced right to privacy.
I'm trying to remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up later. It starts with an F, like flare cameras or something.
FLIR? Yeah, I don't.
Not FLIR. That's like a.
Yeah.
FLIR is something else.
FLIR is infrared.
Infrared.
Yeah. No, I want to see that map, because if that's the case, it's illegal.
Okay.
And that's tied to, I guess, a slight segue, like the UK and stuff, implementing digital ID and requiring everybody to get digital ID to track everything that you do. And the development of a federal digital currency that everything's going to be tied to, and
it's happening. It is happening, and this may be a conspiracy, but we are headed towards China. I see it, where there's a social credit score, where the government has ultimate access to all of your all of your information. We're getting there, and I think AI is actually would be part of the problem. I think that might be why there's such a big push to kind of centralize everything.
I wonder how long it's going to be before we get to something like Minority Report, but the oracles are AI.
Right.
And the AI are like they're able to predict what people are going to do so well that they will predict that you're going to go steal something or whatever.
Right, yes. But that's the wild part, is that our entire justice system is based upon, yes. In fact, the other night I got a report somebody was going to drive home drunk. Well, I stood out and I waited for them to come outside. I was gonna be like, "Hey, don't drive home drunk." Like, you know.
But you can't arrest that person because they haven't committed a crime.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. I mean, that's where it's at. So at the end of my shift, like, I had my body.
Would it be a moral use of AI to use that prediction to prevent the crime without arresting the person? So, like, you got that report and signs like, "Hey, don't do this," and then if they do it, then you arrest them.
Well, but I mean, it depends on what the AI does. So if the AI just like pops up a warning on their phone and says, "Hey, you're drunk. Make sure you don't drive. I'll order you a cab."
Yes.
I think
yes,
that might be okay. But if it's like, I have disabled your car and frozen your bank account so you can't buy any more alcohol. And I locked the door to your refrigerator. Once it takes away
the autonomy, because you can always choose not to take the cab.
Right, exactly.
So it taking away the choice is where it crosses the line.
Actually, I wonder too, though, if it spent your own money on the cab, that might be kind of crossing. Because what if you just want to walk home?
Right.
Or what if you want to sit on the bench outside of the bar until you sober up? Like, not to say that those are both good options necessarily, but some people might opt to do that because they only have $2 in their bank account.
But
the currency will be digital. It'll just mint some more coins to pay for the cab. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But that's our entire justice system is based on that you have to commit a crime in order to, having, again, like we've talked about, having the pieces and the parts and the ability to commit a crime does not mean you're going to commit the crime. So
yeah.
That's
so what? Okay. I want to ask you, so what if somebody says that they're going to commit a crime? What if somebody, let's say they've got a rifle strapped on their back,
okay,
and they're standing outside of a supermarket, and you walk up to him and you say, "Hey man, like, what's going on? Why are you standing out here with a rifle?" And he says, "I'm about to go in there and I'm just going to unload on everybody and just shoot everybody up." Like,
at that point, yes, I have the ability to articulate that I'm going to bring this person to jail because I can articulate at that point. He has the means, he has the ability. He just admitted that that's what he was going to do. Well, again, so like the whole lockpick thing, right? Just because you have them does not mean you're going to commit a crime. But if you are at the spot where you plan on committing a crime, you have the means, you have the opportunity, you have the ability, and then you admit to me, yes, I'm going to commit this crime. Yes, then I can. Obviously, I'm going to charge you with
credible threat to commit or at least credible threat to commit violence a crime.
Yes. So I would at that point I would charge you with assault or a lesser crime. Obviously, not murder. You know what I mean? It would be assault or something like that because there's
attempted assault.
Yes, or there is in the codes. There's always, especially for like assault or partner family member assault. Would a reasonable person believe that this is what's about to happen? If like you walked up to them and you said, "I'm going to get ready to shoot up this whole store," and you believe them, that is one of the reasonable person has to believe that they are in great danger of bodily injury.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean that might be a good segue into war.
Yes.
So.
War were declared.
War. Okay, so I mean we're looking at possibly war with Venezuela.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
We've been talking about if China oversteps on Taiwan, we're going to defend Taiwan. The whole Israel-Gaza thing, the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, and then also with tensions so high in the United States and a lot of the attacks on federal police, like on ICE and stuff. So how close do you guys think we are to World War III, and how close do you think we are to an American Civil War version 2.0?
I think that we are just like the Russians pre-Bolshevik Revolution.
Yeah.
Because we are spreading ourselves so thin, we're not exactly paying attention to what's going on in our own country. It's entirely possible that a small group of people comes and takes over. I mean, we're kind of. There's an argument. Some people say that we are already in a civil war based on what's happening. There's some people that saying that we aren't in a civil war. I don't know what the metrics actually are for a civil war. I don't know what that would actually look like.
Well, I almost wonder if we are already in a civil war, in the sense that, in 50 to 100 years, you look in the textbooks and it's going to say the Civil War started when XYZ happened, something that's already happened, like the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Right.
Maybe that's the shot heard around the world type event that has started the escalation. It was kind of the tipping point or the turning point.
Yes.
But the real, terrible stuff hasn't happened yet.
To which I would agree with that, because I'm on the front lines every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you. Even though things might be popping off in major cities, I have yet to see anything even remotely close to that where I'm at. Right?
I don't see a generalized unrest to the degree of a popular uprising or anything. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we are heading towards a civil war in the next few decades.
Right.
But I think it'll be akin to the Civil War with Julius Caesar, where it's the people in power fighting each other, using the common man as soldiers to secure their power, not because there's a popular uprising in I don't know, France or maybe Russia or that sort of thing.
I almost think that it would look like just small factions of people who decide that they are not, they don't want to be part of the system anymore.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily Republicans versus Democrats or conservatives versus liberals or the rich versus the poor or anything like that. I think it's just going to be, there's going to be some, rural town in Montana decides, screw what the federal government's doing. We are now a sovereign city, and any federal agents that come in here will be asked to leave, and if not, then they will be met with force. And it's going to be
that's already happening with ICE.
Yes.
You have the sanctuary cities. They're saying we're not going to cooperate with ICE.
Well, and that's why I'm wondering if maybe we are already in a civil war.
Here's my concern that with the whole Civil War thing.
Right.
France had a civil war, and it was basically, I don't like my neighbor, so there was no clear delineation in force and no clear delineation and no clear enemy. But basically, what ended up happening was that sent them into 15 years of anarchy.
Yeah.
That,
and that's kind of wondering.
That's the scary thing,
that,
it's okay, who is the enemy? Oh, well, it's somebody who votes differently than me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a good enough reason to have an enemy, right? I've been looking at this kind of from 32,000 feet, and I don't support any of them. There's no,
That's why I think it's akin to the Roman Civil War, in the sense of, I think that the hatred that some people have, the people that are really plugged into politics and online and stuff, the hatred that people have is stoked by people in power so that they can maintain and grow their power. I don't think that people who hate people on the other side have genuine reason to hate them, other than that they're told they should hate them by the people that they trust in power, that have been manipulated to then trust them. So that's why I see it's going to be the people in power who are competing for that power, manipulating the people that follow them into war to support them, not because there's some ideological civil war like the communist revolution or whatever, or some societal collapse that leads to civil war. I think it's the people in power, bickering and fighting so much over power that it breaks out into violence.
Well, but speaking of civil collapse, I could see with the government shut down, and people not getting their SNAP benefits, I could see that devolving into more violence and more division. Because there's already people on social media that are like, well, I'm just going to go steal then. And like, on one hand, you can't blame them to a certain extent, because there's a lot of people that have grown up on EBT, and so they've just known that that's how they get their food, and they don't really know any other way. Not saying that it's right.
Right.
Just saying I feel for those people. But then they feel entitled to those benefits. And so when the well runs dry and the government shut down and they don't get that, they don't know how to go get food.
But again, if violence breaks out, other than like the small violence of I'm going to try and steal from you sort of thing, if that leads to like civil unrest and violence, who do they fight? It's whoever's the opposite side of the people they like. So Republicans are going to say this is Democrats' fault. Democrats are going to say this is Republicans' fault.
That's exactly what's happening
and
right
it's,
now.
again, it's the people in power telling them who they should hate, and so
Yes.
it's people in power pulling the strings in the Civil War.
Yes.
I guess that's true. I would think that starting out, though, if the catalyst is people not getting SNAP benefits, that they say that the rule of thumb is like 9 missed meals
Yep.
before looting and rioting starts happening because of food.
Yep.
And so it's going to be, at first it might not be Democrats versus Republican. It's going to be those without food and those with food. It's going to be people.
That is a very, very well put. Yeah.
It's going to be people who don't have food and don't have the means to get food, or who are just, maybe they have some money, but it's not enough to get enough food for their family, or maybe there probably are going to be a small handful of people that are just upset that they didn't get EBT. But anyway, it's going to be those people going to supermarkets and stealing food. And then when the supermarkets start, getting armed security to help prevent people from stealing, then you're going to get gangs form that say like, hey, if you come join our gang, then we're going to go raid the supermarket and we'll take down the security, and then we'll all get food and stuff like that.
Well,
and it could also
it's not directly food related, but that hasn't happened in California, where there are gangs of thieves that bust into stores and loot the place.
Yeah, but I wonder if there's certain laws in California where you're not allowed to have armed private security.
Right.
I
don't think that's true.
California also has it where it's like it's not a crime if you steal less than $900 worth of stuff or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It always seems like it's, like you said, it's the people who have food versus the people that don't have food.
Yeah.
And how far are they willing to push?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the answer to that is.
At that point, when you're fighting for food, it doesn't matter what skin color you have.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what political affiliation you have. It doesn't matter what religion you are, how tall you are, whatever. It's whether you have food or not.
And that's.
See, I think that I would buy into that if there was genuine food scarcity. Like if there's famine, then that obviously happens because the wealthy people get raided by the poor people because the wealthy people have all the food, and there's a critical mass of people without food, that chaos breaks out. But there's not like a broken food supply. There's not famine. There is technically plenty of food to go around. And the number of people who would be without food, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'd imagine it's a relatively small percentage. So I don't know if there's a critical mass for that to be the catalyst.
It's 44 million.
44 million that get EBT benefits.
Yes. That is a significant portion.
Is that EBT all of their food supply?
Well, no, not necessarily. That's just how many people get EBT. So that could be somebody who is only getting a small portion just to supplement, and it's also including the people where their entire food budget is EBT because they don't have any income or very little income.
What percentage of people would not have enough food to survive if they didn't have EBT and didn't get food somewhere else?
I don't know. That's hard.
That,
That's a hard number.
I don't know that we could ever. I don't know that we could ever actually come up with that number. But we can say for sure that 44 million Americans are on EBT. Now, of that, I don't know what the subgenre is of who uses it as far as the only source of income that they use for food. I don't know that we could ever like actually track that down and get a viable number.
It'd probably have to be like survey.
Yeah.
Or something. The other thing too is you're gonna have food banks, and you're gonna have churches and charities that step up and help provide food for those who need it. But they could become overwhelmed really easy too, or become targets.
Yes.
For the gangs I was talking about before.
Right.
I would almost argue that I still don't see there being a critical mass of the starving without the ability to get food. Because I also think there's going to be a percentage of people on EBT that will just find other sources of food. Though there's obviously going to be those ones that I think would resort to thievery and violence and that sort of thing. But I think that if SNAP kind of like goes away for an extended period of time, I do think that private charitable giving will increase, and that the food banks might be overwhelmed, and then I think that they would reach out like, hey, we're overwhelmed. And I think that people seeing the violence and stuff and the genuine suffering even of those that aren't violent, I think that there would be an increase in charitable giving, be my suspicion.
I have a caveat to that though. Here's the problem that I see. There is a group of people in this country that are just looking for a reason to go out and do illegal stuff, right? Like that's what I feel like this may very well be a catalyst. Like do I think that all 44 million people? Absolutely not. Do I think that it might be a small group that ends up getting more support from whomever just because it's the fun thing to do? It's, you know what I mean? Or whatever. I feel like that would also play a part in it. Is people, copycat, so to speak.
I could absolutely see like a repeat of like the George Floyd riots, maybe even more intense than those.
That's where I was going.
But that didn't spark civil war. Like there was major civil unrest. There was people killed. There was major property damage. I could see that for sure. I don't necessarily see that leading to civil war.
But here's what I would argue with that. That was centralized. That was more of a centralized thing. I think this whole EBT thing is less centralized. I think it's decentralized because you got people in Montana that are running into the same problem that people in New England are running into. Potentially that could...
And the George Floyd thing was a very political thing. The people who were upset about George Floyd's death were mainly on the left side of politics. With the EBT thing, you've got people on both left and right that get EBT.
Yes, 100%.
And so it's
but to
no
Ian's
longer...
point, the George Floyd rights, those people that are looking for a reason to go out and do things, legal things, they took advantage of that.
Yeah,
and it
but
didn't perpetually
but here's the
control.
problem with that. Would you let's just say for a second, would you have gone to where the riots were happening, or would you be like, you know what, I don't want to drive that far? But if it's happening in your own backyard, if something's happening in your own backyard, you might be more apt to go in and do something.
And the other thing too is I could see things where, like, let's say that you and your neighbor both get EBT, and then all of a sudden you're cut off, and one day you're really kind of rationing out what food you have left, and it's really kind of stretching, and you and your family are still eating but kind of hungry, and your neighbor comes to you and says, hey man, I know how we can get some more food. Yes. Come with me, let's go get some more food. And you go, oh, okay. Oh, he's got a plan. Okay. You hop in the car with him and 5 other guys. Pretty soon you're at the supermarket, and he hands you a mask and a gun and says, come on, we're going to go get some food. Right. I mean, at that point, you're an accomplice, whether you go in there or not.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is not something that's centralized. I'm saying that this is something, it's actually a little bit more, I'm a little bit more nervous about it because it's decentralized, right? If it's
but because it's decentralized too, I think there's going to be a lot, the sparks that go off are going to be smaller because there's not people all gathered together to protest and stuff. It's going to be people kind of like we used to about like in your towns and in your neighborhoods. Whereas like I lived right near Indianapolis during the George Floyd stuff. I know that people from all around Indiana came to Indianapolis to protest. That's not going to happen with this. People aren't going to gather together to do this. They might gather in their town, but then you're still going to only have, 10% of your town at most, which that's a really high number because, you said it's like 40 million, which is 10% of the U.S. population.
Yeah, but across the entire United States, different places have different poverty rates. So the percentage might be lower in rural, there might be some rural town of wealthy farmers where there's like 2% of people have EBT, and then there's going to be a bigger city where 40% of the people have EBT. You can't just blanket say like, okay, 10% of your town is going to rise up. It's going to depend on the town. Some towns are going to be safer than others, depending on their poverty.
Well, that's fair.
rates.
Yeah, I think that also then speaks to the George Floyd thing, where there are going to be some places where things pop off and some places where they don't.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's that's an interesting that's an interesting way to look at it. It's my opinion that the decentralization is going to be the issue, basically. That, you know what I mean? That's going to be the issue. Is that I could potentially see that happening here. What I mean? Like that's with our poverty rate, and I could definitely see that happening here.
We have a pretty high poverty rate.
We do.
That was kind of the weird thing when I moved here. So in Washington State, we had homeless people. We had homeless camps all over. When I came here, I was like, oh, there's like no homeless camps, no homeless people. You might see like one bum walking down the street and that was it.
Right.
But then I started realizing, but there are people who are so poor that they live in a rundown trailer with leaky roofs and no running water and don't have proper sanitation.
Right.
So they have a home, but they're in a similar situation.
Right, they're in a similar situation, but technically they're not homeless.
Yes, technically.
So you guys know your town fairly well. If the EBT thing goes on and people are genuinely like starting to be malnourished and starve because of not having access to food, do you think that there is community resources and enough people who are above the poverty line that would step up to donate and stuff for those people to kind of bring the community together to help those that are downtrodden? Or do you think that the opposite would be the case and people would be like, well, no, screw you, you need to go out and get a job, sort of thing?
I can speak to both because I deal with that on a daily basis.
I'm generally optimistic because we have a pretty good food bank. I know that there's a couple churches that have their own private food banks too, but I don't know that it would be enough.
So that's where I was going to go with this. Where we are at, we have very, 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 very limited resources. Like, I have homeless people that come in and ask for help, and it's like, I got nothing. There's nothing that I can do to help you. I can't give you a room. There's no homeless shelter. There's no nothing. Like, you find a friend to hang out with for the night because it's going to get cold. I also see where food is kind of a different thing, right? As far as like shelter and gas money and stuff like that, food is kind of a different thing. I think that at least for a while we'll be okay, but it kind of depends on what happens next. I know that at least in the town that I'm working in right now, we have a food bank, and like 3 or 4 of the churches are getting together to do food drives, and the VFW is getting together to do a food drive as well. So I think that it's there. I don't know how many people are actually going to, quote, give until it hurts, because again, that's one small piece of a really genuinely bigger problem. Like, we don't have hotels that we could put people in. We don't have gas cards that we can give people. The only real thing that we have is food, and even then it's going to depend on, okay, are we going to give until it hurts, or we're also dealing with people who are in poverty as well. Like, I mean, it's poverty giving to poverty. So I don't know. I could potentially see this going south if the churches and the VFW and the food bank run out of food, because again, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit more optimistic. I think that people are going to step up and they're going to give until it hurts.
Right.
But I think even with that, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough.
Right.
Well, I think the other question too is also, so we've talked about, like, there's the 40% of people on food stamps, or the 40 million people on food stamps. Not all of them like have to have food stamps to survive. Like, it supplements their income. Of those ones that need it too, like, what percentage of those are kind of in that fixed mindset of, if I don't have food stamps, I'll starve unless I steal, versus those people that are like, okay, food stamps are going away, I need to change how I'm living.
I don't know.
And then also those people that genuinely can't because there's a disability and that sort of thing.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's
because I think if we can't look at that 40 million as this is one big group of people that are all going to react the same way.
No, you
Sure.
know, you're absolutely right. The reason I say that is because it is a large number, right? Like, I mean, it's a large number.
Yeah.
10% of the U.S. population.
Right.
Well, actually a little bit more because we're at like 380.
350? No, we're at
350.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
The last I looked, we were like 380 or 390.
Oh, wow.
That's what I thought. 380.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's approximately 10%.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is that, yes, you're right, that it's not going to be everybody, but there would still be a large contingent in there that had with the possibility of things escalating into violence.
Yeah.
There's again, it's probably even a smaller number. It's obviously a smaller number than 44 million, but even if we're talking 10,000, that's still a lot of people that,
or even maybe not necessarily even violence, but breaking other laws. So,
right.
like around here, we have a lot of wildlife.
Yes.
We already deal with poachers, but how much you want to bet that there's going to be people who never would have poached in their life,
right,
but decide to go poach to feed their family?
To which I would probably look at that a little bit.
I would say
different.
good on them.
Yeah, no. That's,
yeah.
I think that's a little more nuanced and
yes.
Maybe a little more acceptable under certain circumstances.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, crime in general,
yes.
I think is going to go up.
Yes, and that may very well be,
whether it's justified or not.
Yes. I don't know. I guess it's all going to depend on where you live, where you're at, what the economic situation of your individual community is, as to whether or not it's going to become an issue or not.
Yeah.
Is that all the stuff we're giving to the food bank?
It's about half.
Okay. See, we're doing our part. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and do your part in your
and
community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, tying that back into, the importance of community and strengthening your community. Like, when I was like reading on the Modern Minuteman, it talked about like the expectation in the colonies was that you took care of the poor people in your town. Now that led to people like vagrants traveling from town to town being kicked out because like, hey, we don't want you to come to our town and just be on the public dole. But like the expectation was that the people in the town took care of the widows and the orphans, the poor people that were in their town because they were part of this community. Yeah. And there's such a lack of that community connection, I think, in most of the U.S., where people like know everybody and like, well, I need to take care of you because you're part of this same thing with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, do we have time for a third topic, or?
Yeah, I think we're getting close, but we have time.
Okay. So there's the third topic that you wanted to bring up, the AI possibility of civil war, and then there was something else.
What was the other one? I don't remember.
Okay.
What was it, Nick? What did I say?
I'm trying to remember too.
Are you sure it wasn't?
Dead internet?
Oh,
we already kind of
we kind of talked about dead internet.
Yeah, we talked about
dead
internet a little bit.
That was part of the AI thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna bring up something that I think is kind of important at this point. So I've been watching or listening to a lot of podcasts, and one of the things that I noticed is I just watched Charlie Kirk and Gavin Newsom have a conversation. That really resonated with me because you had two people literally on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? You have Gavin Newsom, who's a liberal, and then you have Charlie Kirk, who's a Republican, right? They sat down and for an hour they had a civil discourse. I got a lot out of it. I saw from both viewpoints, right? Like, I mean, I think that we are getting away from civil discourse, and I think that the internet is really not helping that at all. It can, But at the same time, it's like we just did the endorsement of Hugh Taylor for mayor, and I had people just randomly posting the most deranged crap on our post, and I ended up having to block them. It's like, no, that's not a productive way to have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, like debates are a good thing to have. You don't have to get upset, you know, at the other person.
Well, unfortunately,
I actually don't know that debate is the right way to look at it, because so you know, debate has three participants. It's the two people debating and then the audience.
Right.
And really what happens is it's each person talking to the audience. They're not talking to each other. They're trying to convince the audience that they're right. And so it's, my goal in the debate is to beat you, which shouldn't be your goal when you're having a civil discourse. It should be, I think I'm right, you think you're right. I want you to show me where I'm being stupid. I want to show you where you're being stupid, and maybe we can figure out something closer to what's true together, sort of thing.
Yeah, but most people,
as opposed to be like, I just want to win.
Yeah, most people forget the last part, and they just say, "You're stupid because I'm right."
Right, and that's what I was running into with this. You know, you're stupid and I'm right. It's like, well, you know, everybody's got different viewpoints and life experiences. You know, it's you know.
Yeah.
Well, it was like the last election. We only have in my county like 2 early voting locations, and it's, you know, Oklahoma City's county. And so I went and I voted early, and I was standing in line for literally 4 hours.
Jeez.
And so, like, the group of people around me, like, you could see in the line, it was fascinating. Like, the kind of groups, people kind of clustered up and created these little, like, community-esque type things where they kind of hung out, like, socialized as we were waiting in line. And, like, we were all there to vote, and we were definitely not all voting for the same person. And yet we had this kind of shared moment of humanity of like, hey, we're all just people, and we can have fun and we can talk and we can like know each other as people, even if we don't agree politically. And that was really a nice, like, humanizing moment sort of thing.
I think that it doesn't matter what party you vote for; they don't care about you.
No.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
They don't care about you.
They care that you voted for them,
Yes.
but that's
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Well, okay. I would argue that local elections.
Yes. Local elections are different.
Yeah.
Local elections are different, and so your Republican or Democrat candidate for city council might actually care about you, but once you get all the way up to the federal level, they don't care. They just want power. They just want to push forward what they think is right, regardless of what you think.
Well, it's that, you know, the famous Lord Acton quote, absolute power corrupts absolute. Like, the more power you have, the more likely you are to be corrupted by that power.
Yeah.
Well, that and local politics plays way more of a part on your everyday life than federal politics do.
Yeah.
You know.
And also, like especially in a small town, like, you as an individual citizen has a much bigger impact on your councilman's life too.
Yes.
As compared to, like, you know, the president or our federal representatives, we're almost certainly never going to meet them. And even if you do meet them, it's going to be a handshake passing sort of thing,
Yes.
and they're not going to care about what you think.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you can see your councilman at the store, like,
Yes.
maybe you go to church with them. Like, there are these other components to your relationship other than just they're the person you voted for and you're the person that voted for them.
Yeah. All of our mayoral candidates are literally my neighbors.
Yes.
The mayor is literally lives around the corner from me, and the other 2 candidates live like 2 and 3 blocks away.
Yes. Yes.
And so, yeah, I see them in the community regularly.
Yes.
They are a part of our community.
And that's what I mean. You know, and you know, their decisions directly impact your life way more than the federal. You know that. Yeah. You know, as of recently, federal decisions have impacted our lives. You know, like, again, just going back to the EBT, that could potentially impact our lives.
Yeah.
But the decisions that the local city council have made have also way more directly impacted my life, as far as having to pay more or less for water and sewer and taxes and, you know, this, that. You know, that's just it, you know. What ordinances or what's the ordinance of the day or something, you know what I mean? Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And you know, national politics has really become, and it's probably been this way for a long time, it's a spectator sport.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it's the 2 sides competing to try and win, and all they care about is winning. And you have these people bought in and like, yeah, my team rules, go my team, when it doesn't really matter that much.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up
Yeah,
right
let's
here.
do it.
Nick, final thoughts and words.
AI is a powerful tool. Use it wisely or don't.
Yeah.
I think that the best way to avoid a civil war is to unplug from the spectator sport of national politics and plug into like your community and the people that actually care about you and that you should actually be caring about, and ignore the national as much as is feasible. You can't unplug entirely because federal politics does play some role in your life, but give it its proper place underneath your local stuff.
Yes.
All right, Ian?
Again, along the same lines, unplug. I made the decision to unplug. I found out that Israel was spying on American citizens and sending them directed ads and this, that, the other thing, and that was the final straw. So as of this point, I've gone to a different phone. I've gone to a laptop. I've kind of enhanced my digital security, and kind of tried to erase my digital footprint to a point. As I have workstation set up at work where I have a cell phone that's all interconnected and a computer system that's all interconnected. But as far as being at home, I've really decentralized everything because we're all being watched, whether or not we want to acknowledge it or not. So take the steps to kind of make your digital footprint smaller than it has been.
Yeah. Well, and I'd just like to say, get involved in your community, whatever that looks like for you. And with this thing coming up with SNAP and EBT, where people aren't going to be getting their benefits, more than likely, you have friends and neighbors that are probably on that program, whether you know it or not, and just help uplift and support those people in these hard times, because there's a lot of people that actually rely on that service for their food, and donating to your local food what's that called? Food pantry.
Food pantry, yeah.
Almost said food shelter.
Yeah.
your local food pantry, or like I said, if you have a friend or a family member or something, buying them some food directly might be a good thing. Might help them out. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You can find us on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and I think Instagram.
Yes, and if you're really, really cool, you get to join us on Discord. But that's for the really cool folks.
Oh yeah. That's an announcement we're going to be making soon.
We got a huge announcement upcoming here.
Little teaser. But and you can check us out at minuteman3.com as well. So until next time.
Keep your powder dry.